So when I first started building in 2005, I had this idea. I wanted my grandmother to move from California to move to Georgia. I thought it would be more affordable and all this great stuff. So my mom and I, we put some money together and I found a lot. And the lot that I found was on Tonawanda Drive in this same area, Browns Mill Park. And so I went through all the designs with my grandmother, how she wanted the house. She's the one that has me building masters on mains and stressed to me about no stairs, because she wanted a house with windows so she could sit out and look at her neighbors and be all in their business. And she didn't want stairs in their house. And she wanted to make sure she had 2 masters, because she wanted a room upstairs for her grandkids or whoever to have the same setup as her. So my grandmother, honestly, is probably the main reason why I started building in this area. So it's real special to me, because this is where her house would have been. We did build the house and she helped design it, but unfortunately she passed before the house was complete. Hello, so my name is Clinét Burton with Burton Development Group. We are here at our latest build. Back.
So recently you've been doing a lot of new construction opposed to flips. What's the reason for that?
Flips have been, my flips have been real so-so. Flip for a number of years, and it seems like there's more demand with new construction. You have a lot more value. And the other thing is, when you buy a flip, when you get in there and you tear the walls out, you plan for this, you plan for that, you don't never know what you're going to get. So that was my main thing with moving away from flips, and with the market kind of shifting to more of a buyer's market. I think there's more value, in my opinion, in new construction. So we are in Browns Mill Park, an area that we have become invested in, steady building the comps over the last 5-6 years. I think in 2020, for 2,500 square feet, we were at maybe 500 or so. And now for that same amount of home, we're probably somewhere in the low to mid 7s, 2,500, 3,000 square feet. So anyway, this is our ranch. We are building ranches because that's the main reason why I hear older people sell their houses, is because they get tired of walking up and down the steps. So we're here, we have a ranch. It's over 3,000 square feet. We are 4 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, a living room, dining room, kitchen, very nice layout, very spacious rooms. One room can actually also be used as an in-law suite. It will have a separate entrance. So yeah, I'm very excited about this, and it should be in the price point where it qualifies for FHA and VA, so it opens us up to more buyers, you know, a broader pool of buyers. So yeah, here we are. This is our about 5th week on site. I think it's like 33, day number 33. Yeah, day 33. So we're installing our blocks. This is cross-based foundation, and yeah, the guys will be through today or midday tomorrow with the foundation. They just have the front part and the piers, and we are good to go. And is the actual site conditions, and most important is the price. I always try to pick up land at 10% or less of the appraised value. I think that's where most people go wrong, because they overpay and they try to make it up on the back end. There's no back end to make it up. In real estate, you make the money when you buy. If you pay too much on the front, then you're gonna get screwed on the back or be fighting for your life. So in my opinion, price is probably one of the most important things. And then site, you know, you want a site that you don't want to get anything that's sitting in a hole where you're going to have a lot of water to control. Or just, you know, you just want something that is, I don't want to say easy, but it just makes sense. You know, things have to make sense. And a lot of time in investing, people want to sell you dreams. The numbers are the numbers. The numbers do not lie. 1 + 1 will always equal 2. Land for a reasonable amount here. I like this area because it's very close to the city. It's very close to the airport. It's like Grant Park, adjacent Summer Hill. You have so many great things going, and it's like a small piece of Atlanta that hasn't been ran through. So pause. No, I'm serious though, but it's like a small piece that's kind of been overlooked. And since we started here in the beginning of COVID, you know, our values were 500,000, and we've slowly been pushing those values up to where we're mid sevens, touching 800 for 3,000 square feet. So it's important to have people that are highly skilled working on your project. And I think at this phase here, I know in my last build, when we were at this stage of putting in the foundation, I wasn't as present, and I paid for it on the back end. So as these walls go up and these guys leave, I want to make sure that they leave and take all of their trash with them, all of the leftover construction residue. So when the subs and people get under this house, this crawl space is nice and clean and not full of gunk and wood and, you know, metal pieces. The little small things make a big difference in the end. Everybody plays a part, I think, at different times. The architect in building is very important from the beginning to the end. You have to have an architect who has experience, who is familiar with solving problems and working through obstacles in different site conditions, but also someone who's available to walk through problems when the framers are out, when the guys are out. You know, at this point, like, you want to have your architect available and ready to come out to the site, not just somebody who's always typing at the desk. As far as agent, you want to have an agent that has experience, who is familiar with the product, and also who knows who they're going to market this product to, because that is important. So I purchased my first property when I was 20 years old. It was in Mosley Park, the Mosley Park area of Atlanta. I bought a 3-bedroom house with a basement, converted the basement to 3 rooms, and I had girls upstairs. So I had 3 rooms upstairs and 3 rooms downstairs. I shared the upstairs with 2 of my friends, and downstairs was 3 guys, 3 college students.
Are you still friends with those people today?
I am. Naisha, Jasmine, Sadi, they all know. They was all there in the beginning of the beginning, so yes. My mom. That's the main reason why I'm right here doing this today. So my second year in college here at the greatest HBCU, Clark Atlanta University, my mother gave me money to buy a house and rent the rooms to other students. And so little did she know that was going to be the beginning of my real estate investment career. So that was in 2020. I bought my first property in Mosley Park. So I was buying properties before I could buy alcohol. I mean,
2020?
2000. Sorry, y'all. I got too excited. See, I tried to get cute. No. In 2000, though, I bought my first property when I was 20 years old. I definitely think that this industry is dominated by males. There are females in the industry. There are a lot more females in the industry now than I think when I first started. Of course, if I was a man, I feel like people would handle me differently, because a lot of times some people don't really take you serious, or they might say, oh, well, you building this house, you know, she's doing this, and, you know, you're too young and this and that. So you get all kind of pushback just from being a female. But every time and time again, you know, we're proving them wrong, and we're beating the odds, and we're changing the narrative. So, oh, it's a great feeling to see something that you create and someone to be so excited and take so much pride into something that you know, built from the ground up. So it's always a very special feeling, especially for me at this time, when the market has become very challenging, to just be able to still move properties, every time I'm shocked that the house, sells every time. And I think it's nothing but God. Nothing but God. But I was into a lot of stuff. So I guess I would tell my teenage self, well, I'll fast forward my college in my 20s, my mid-20s, when things didn't work out and, I was having a lot of challenges financially and filing bankruptcy and the whole market, it fell through. I would tell myself to keep going, and that failure is the biggest and the best part of the process. So just keep going, enjoy your journey, and just keep going. You could pause, you could take breaks, but just don't stop. Because I took a gap. I took a pause for about 10 years from 2011 to 2020, just because I was so distraught and defeated, and I didn't know how to deal with failure. I didn't know how. So definitely keep the same team. I guess they're vetted on a trial and error basis, hire them, see how they work. And if you work well, we move on. If you don't work well, you get cut. I've had guys that I've been working with for 20 years and some guys that I've been working with for 5 years. So I try to keep the same crew. But as you grow, unfortunately, a lot of the people that I started out with in the very, very beginning, they just change. They might start pocket watching or thinking something is more than it isn't, but some people go on and go in different directions. But for the most part, I do try to keep the same crew. It works better because I know how they work, they know how I work. Well, I know how to cut. I personally will cut my losses quick. When things, I know a lot of people are married to numbers and married to prices, but if it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? You got to move on because there's always another deal. There's always another opportunity, but you got to stop the bleeding. So if it don't look good, it ain't looking good. You can't worry about what you lost. Just worry about moving on.